OpenAI just beat Elon Musk in court, but the win leaves a trust question for anyone building on its tools. If the company can outgrow its original nonprofit promise, who is really checking the incentives now? If you run security reviews, write AI policy, or depend on ChatGPT inside a product, the payoff here is not court drama. It is knowing whether today's verdict makes OpenAI more stable or merely makes its governance harder to challenge. The narrow court result is clear. A federal jury in Oakland rejected Musk's lawsuit against OpenAI, Sam Altman, Greg Brockman, and Microsoft after less than 2 hours of deliberation. The key finding was timing. Musk waited too long to bring his claims. Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers accepted that finding and dismissed the case. That is a huge legal win for OpenAI and Altman, because Musk had been trying to use the case to attack the company's move from nonprofit roots toward a structure tied to enormous commercial value. But notice what that decision does and does not answer. It tells us Musk's claims were too late. It does not give the public a clean ruling that OpenAI's mission, leadership incentives, commercial arm, and Microsoft relationship are fully understood and beyond dispute. For OpenAI, that distinction matters because trust in a frontier AI lab is not built only on whether it wins a lawsuit. It is built on whether customers, regulators, employees, and developers believe the organization's control structure matches the responsibility of the technology it ships. This is why the case is bigger than a billionaire feud. The argument around OpenAI has always been unusually tangled. A lab founded with a nonprofit mission, a commercial structure built to fund massive compute, a deep Microsoft partnership, and leadership making decisions that affect products used by millions of people. The courtroom forced those pieces into one public frame. Even with the case dismissed, the questions remain useful. Who gets the upside? Who can slow the company down? And what happens when safety promises collide with the cost of staying at the frontier? What changes immediately is the pressure map. OpenAI avoids a trial-level loss that could have threatened damages, leadership, or parts of its commercial relationships. Microsoft avoids being dragged deeper into liability on the remaining claims. Altman keeps a cleaner path to tell partners that the company survived one of the most visible attacks on its structure. The loser is Musk, and more broadly any rival or critic hoping this specific lawsuit would force the court to reopen OpenAI's history and impose constraints. For users, though, the result is mixed. Stability is good if your company depends on OpenAI APIs, ChatGPT Enterprise, or Microsoft-integrated AI tools. Nobody wants their vendor's core business model rewritten by a surprise judgment. But a fast procedural win also means fewer public answers than people expected. If you are a security lead asking whether an AI provider's governance can resist commercial pressure, this verdict does not close that file. It only narrows the legal route Musk chose to challenge it. Picture a company approving a new AI rollout this quarter. The product team wants speed, the legal team wants predictable licensing, security wants incident reporting and data controls, and leadership wants a vendor that will still look credible in 2 years. After this verdict, OpenAI looks less legally vulnerable in the short term, but the due diligence questions do not disappear. You would still ask who controls model access, how Microsoft dependencies affect availability and pricing, what commitments are contractual versus aspirational, and whether governance changes would be visible before they affect customers. The proof object to look at is not a hot take. It is the source page screenshot showing the verdict, the less than 2-hour deliberation, and the statute of limitations basis. That tells you why OpenAI won today. Then compare it with OpenAI's own structure pages, partnership language, and enterprise commitments. The gap between those documents is where the trust test lives, not in whether Musk made the perfect legal argument, but in whether OpenAI can make its power structure legible enough for serious users to rely on it. So the clean takeaway is this: OpenAI won the lawsuit, but it has not won the governance argument forever. The company gets breathing room, and that is meaningful. The next signal to watch is whether an appeal, future testimony, regulatory review, or new disclosures put real constraints around OpenAI's licensing, leadership incentives, nonprofit control, or Microsoft ties. If those details become clearer, trust gets easier to price. If they stay fuzzy while OpenAI grows more central to business and public infrastructure, the courtroom win may look less like the end of the story and more like the moment the trust test moved somewhere else.